All right, the Moskavi podcast,
Let's
episode
go.
001.
Woo woo.
Can you see me clear?
Yeah, I can see you clear.
Okay, yeah, I see you clear now. We're- Yeah,
Young,
up.
we got young Filbert in the house.
Face. Daniel says he looks like a little British boy. British man. I don't really see it, but yeah, I got this working. It wasn't exactly how I wanted it to work. I fucking bought a camera, a mic. I can't fucking get it set up. Just doing off my Mac, but I mean, this works fine too.
This works.
Yeah. So yeah, fucking got you playing this Saturday at Wayfair. They're selling good. Um, but yeah, um, where to start? I don't know. Talking about what were we just talking about? Sent that trial reel. Experimenting with that. Right.
Instagram. Instagram Reels.
Yeah,
Love it.
fucking that trial reel. Probably, probably why I did the trial reel because it's kind of like controversial.
You can edit all of this shit, right? And like, and kind of like take out parts if we talk
But
about things.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
you can flip it. No, it's
Yeah.
unedited. It's just like Joe Rogan's.
Just, just raw, bro. It's actually streaming live, so
Yeah, is
let's
it?
talk as much shit as we can on every
Pretty
DJ that we
sure,
know.
I'm pretty sure you can the option to be alive. Yeah. Um. But yeah, I did that trial reel. I didn't post it. The trial reel, it won't post to your followers, but anyone that's not following you can see it, test out
So,
how it
so,
does.
so the prompt of the reel that you just posted, why don't you talk about that?
Yeah, so I was just scrolling through Instagram and MK posted you should just mimic your favorite DJs with sound for their tracks. And that's like a good way to get started and stuff. And then I saw a story from Kai Williams saying he just received 150 demos. They all sound exactly the same. I was like, wait, which one is it? So I screen recorded both of them. I was like, no, from one to the other. And I
Yeah,
posted
so
that.
the controversy is like, do you mimic your favorite artist, and is that an achievable way to gain success? And I really think that it could be. I could see both perspectives, just because, you know, I always say you should be a version of your top five favorite artists for sure.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that's how you kind of gain your own sound is, and it could be top five favorite artists in any genre, any subgenre. But I think as long as you're pushing towards like your top five legendary artists, then that kind of creates your sound. And for me, that was like, when I first started, that was like Deadmau5 and Wolfgang Gartner and Eric Prydz and like Swedish House Mafia and like Laid Back Luke and like that type of sound. And it was like very electro driven, but over the years it started to like develop more of a taste for like real house music and going back to the roots of things like Carl Cox and Sasha and Digweed and like, even like Frankie Knuckles and like that kind of stuff. So it's like integrated with like all of this electro house and house music. And then from my sound, at the time that was popular when I started actually gaining traction, it was like Nightbase and AC Slater and like Mala and Chami and like the labels that I was getting signed to. So it wasn't necessarily, I felt like I was copying people's tracks verbatim, because that's probably not what you should be doing. But however, it's like you're taking a lot of inspiration from what's popular right now. So it's like I could see where Kai Williams is probably getting all these demos of stuff where, it's minimal house is like the thing, and like Beltron is like at the top of that list. Everybody is copying verbatim of all of his IDs, like you hear an ID. And it kind of reminds me of like Chris Lake 3 or 4 years ago. Everyone was just copying Chris Lake. So it's like there's a way to finesse and gain inspiration without completely copying, like pulling in a track, copying the arrangement, copying the sound design, where things are placed. It's like I like to think of it more of like textures of like, can I create a sound that's texturally as good as this artist? And then how do I put it in my own rhythm? And how do I create my own drums behind it? Or like maybe you take the inspiration of somebody's drums, somebody else's sound design, somebody else's vocals or whatever, and then that becomes your own sound. But, you
Yeah,
know,
little, like bits and pieces of styles,
yeah. So
drawing
it,
very small sounds and combining all your favorite elements from different artists. Keep on
yeah,
creating your own
like all
style.
the stuff that you're working on too, you have, your own taste in music. So it's like you have that like very strong minimal influence in your music, but you also like a lot of that UKG garage stuff. So that's kind of with your sound, you kind of have a blend of like, I'm making minimal UKG tech house, but it's still like, could fit in a minimal set. It could fit in a UKG set. And that's kind of where it's like, you
Yeah,
know,
go different ways with sets. But that's also like I feel like my problem is getting signed to labels too. Everyone has like a strict sound.
yeah.
So like whenever I send stuff to Nick from South South Republic of Mars, like, oh, well, then it's like too much UKG. I'm still like techie though, different, but
Yeah.
I
It's kind of
mean,
hard to send shit out to labels too, because it's like you don't want to put yourself in a box, right? It's like it's very easy to say I want to get signed to Repopulate Mars or Realm or whatever, and then you look at the catalog and you start to like purposely try to produce for a label. That has never worked for me
yeah,
ever.
yeah, that's what I
It's
was thinking. So like, how do you get signed to labels then? If you're gonna start, look at their catalog, I feel like that's like sounds like that would work, but then it's like doesn't work, right?
yeah. For me, it was like more the best music that I've ever produced has been like when you're so inspired and you produce a track and the idea kind of just flies out of you within that first 2 to 3 hours, and then you take that idea and you can develop it later, whatever. It might take you a month to mix it down, but like that initial idea, if you still maintain that inspiration, then it becomes something that's special because you were vibing with it when you made it. It flew out of you. This song made you want to dance and you thought it was really cool. That translates well on the dance floor to people actually seeing that. It's like if you're putting that sort of energy into the song, then people are receiving that energy back. So it's I think the best songs that get signed to labels are the ones where you are just having a good time in the studio. Track flies out in a good amount of time, and you're not like stressing too much. Is this going to fit on a specific label? Because then some labels, if they're a good label, they're looking for the new sound. So you can't create the new sound if you're always trying to recreate that old sound, you know?
Once that one sound starts popping off and you try to recreate it, it's not gonna. I mean, you might be able to get signed and stuff, but it's not really gonna help you one tour maybe.
Yeah, I mean, you could always have a successful record, treat it like a business, and
Yeah,
like recreate that sound. And you see so many artists do well at doing that too. And
yeah,
then some artists can tour off these like piggyback records of other people's sounds. But when it comes in terms of longevity, building a legacy, having that legendary status that I really hold high, it's like you have to think legendary with your music. Because if you're not thinking like I can be the next Eric Prydz and have my own sound, I can be the next Dead Mouse, have my own sound, then you're just kind of always playing catch up. You're like not ever really going to break it to the point to where people are copying your sound, and that's kind of what you want, and that's what Beltron is so good at. He's like he's got his own thing and it's so cool and popular, everyone wants to copy it, and that's when you really know that you make it, you know?
yeah. I feel like kind of go against that. There's a lot of people that sound does start popping off, and everyone starts making that sound. It's like they are still able to make just a career out of it.
Yeah.
Whole Dirty Bird thing, a lot of people jumped on that and made
Hmm.
careers out of it. But then I feel like a lot of those people actually ended up, they got into the industry, they made a name for themselves, and then they kind of like went to a new genre. Like
Yeah.
Will Clark, was making Dirty Bird, and went to his whole. techno vibey stuff. And
Yeah,
it's working out great for him too. Looks like it.
yeah. He did the whole brand switch up, and that worked extremely well for him. And sometimes you just kind of lose inspiration. And even this book, that I'm reading from Rick Rubin, it's basically saying the same thing. It's like artists are meant to evolve, and sometimes you have this specific sound that you're attached to, um, but then when that piece of work no longer serves you, and like it's a relationship between the artist and the piece of work, so you want to be in love with the stuff that you're making, because if you don't feel that attachment to the stuff you're making anymore, then you're just like treating it like a business and you're just pumping stuff out. Like, of course you can still maintain your business doing that, but I feel like your fans are meant to grow with you as an artist, instead of it being like, I know you for this sound and I'm only going to like you if you put this out. Because as an artist, you're meant to steer the fans and the people that listen to your music in a whole new direction,
Yeah,
you know?
definitely. Especially with like dance music's constantly changing every three
Yeah.
years or so. And I feel like tech house is still big, but yeah, big movement in like minimal stuff right now. And it's still like so it's like minimal stuff like we're talking about Beltran is making aggressive. I mean, I don't even think it's released yet. It's some of the new stuff.
It's kind of like pushing that old electro vibe
Extra stuff's coming back
with the minimal. And
now.
it's really,
That's
really cool.
that's what I'm trying to do, but with like UK beats.
Yeah. Yeah. It's you got to be tapped into the trend enough to know what's going on, what's popular, but then being able to put your own spin on it and not just being like, I'm going to recreate the trend. I'm going to know what the trend is and make that shit your own, and then it becomes, just like a whole nother world, a whole nother gate that you open up for people, because the one thing that's unique to you is your taste in music. The records that you're going to play aren't the records that I'm going to play in my set. And you got to just own that taste and be like, this is who I am, and not be afraid to just be like, you know, uh, even if you like stuff that's not popular, I think that's kind of where you marry the two. You like a lot of stuff that was popular 10 years ago, but now you're kind of revitalizing it, bringing it back. And you can kind of see that wave of trends happening in like circles in dance music. And it's cool to see, because now all of a sudden, all the music that I grew up listening to when I was 16 in 2010, that old rave sound is come back super hard. And
Yeah,
it's,
definitely. With what's Patrick Toppings, his label, it's all like '90s rave kind of themes. That shit
yeah,
came off. And then who else made that track? Mal P made that track kind of like '90s. I like that '90s like synth stabs and stuff. Dun, 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 dun. And
yeah.
that stuff's kind of popping off right now. That kind of is popping off. But within the tech house, tech house beat. But yeah, it's working.
Yeah, I think too the versatility as a producer, if you're kind of stuck in that one subgenre, you can make it far in that niche market. But it's like if you look at all the worldwide DJs like Jamie Jones, Carl Cox, like, Maceoplex, like people that have been around forever, they don't just play one genre in their set. And then when they're producing too, they have that range of, it's like, even Jamie Jones, it's like it's house music for sure, but his range of house music is so vast.
Plenty of subgenres.
Yeah, same with Carl. Carl plays mainly techno, but he also just has like so many different versions of Carl that you're gonna get, and I think that's like what really pushes you over the top and gives you that edge. Is like, you look at John Summit, he's the biggest DJ in the world, and this guy plays every genre, no matter what it is, and he's kind of breaking that boundary of what you think is like, is this cool or is it not? It doesn't matter. Like if it's your taste in music, you should play it and make your set very versatile.
Feel like that's part of like how he got started. He just like got into every genre that everyone likes. So then everyone kind of like broke out with the tech house stuff, or doing like what was it making dubstep like collab with subgenres that
Yeah,
they call it subgenres.
subjonics. And that's cool as fuck though. Like what other really big house DJ merged the two like genres of bass music like that?
I
And
mean, with like house and like, I mean, what about Jaws back in the day?
yeah.
He was like doing bass house.
Yeah.
He was doing dubstep too, but collabing with massive artists. He was just making. I don't think John Summit was making that for genres, but he was playing.
Yeah. I mean, he was playing those edits where it was like his track and then all of a sudden it's like somebody's edit of his
Yeah,
song and then he realized like how popular that it was getting and he tapped into a whole new fan base that didn't really exist. It's like a some sort of divided war between bass music and house music. But
yeah.
like it's artists like that that are willing to hop on stage with Subtronics and then produce a whole song with him. Like
Did they
now
make a
you're
song
just
together?
blurring the lines.
Did they make a song together?
Yeah, they I think they put out a song together.
John and Subtronics.
Subjonics, dude. Or maybe it was a remix or something, but
Probably was a remix. Yeah. Oh no, they did gas pedal remix, or that was probably the remix.
yeah.
This is gas pedal tape B. I don't know who it says. I think it was a collab then. Yeah, tape B's killing it too.
Yeah.
You know Paige,
Page?
Daniel's friend Paige.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Loves tape B.
I mean, I used to be like one of those music snobs where I was like, yeah, anti dubstep, anti bass music. But then when I started to really just listen, they're like, there's good producers in any genre and
Yeah,
there's good
yeah,
inspiration. It's the sound design is just untapped with house music of the way that these people think about sounds, which really inspires me when I'm sitting in the studio and I'm thinking about sounds as textures and how I can put them in different rhythms. I really think about like who's the best sound designers, and a lot of them are in bass music. They're not even in house music.
yeah. The sound design in dubstep, bass music, that's like incredible. I'm like, no, I feel like with house music, it's just like super simple. But like with like bass music, it's like we're doing complex shit, especially yeah, like rhythm and all that stuff. Honestly, that not many people probably know, but yeah, when I go to the gym, I put on like experimental bass music.
Yeah, it's
But
like a
yeah,
lot of the prompts that I use this program called 11 Labs, and you know, I found out from it from Wolfgang Gardner, and we had this whole discussion on Instagram Live. But it's like this AI that you can generate your own sounds using prompts. So the more intricate that you get with the prompts, the more intricate the sound is going to be. And you can't like type in an artist's name and be like
this is
copy
synth. These are
Skrillex.
like synths. You can make like synth through it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you can literally say you're taking inspiration from an artist and trying to develop this whole sound, but then um, what it generates, it's like the way that you use the sound is going to be what makes it your own, you know, because it's like you can have all of Skrillex's noises, but it's the way that you're going to compose that record.
yeah.
And that's opening up a whole new gate to people that literally don't have any experience sound designing at all. You can just type in a prompt, create drum loops, create your own samples, do all of this cool stuff. And then now you're just instantly plugging it in without having to go through the experience of learning FM synthesis or all this
Yeah.
stuff. So like the ability to produce right now is getting easier and easier, and that's why you're seeing so many of these new artists because they're not necessarily like thinking of it in a way of like, do I need to go to school for music? Do I need to spend years and years learning the stuff? And then now AI is just kind of like generating all of this usable, really high quality audio of different sounds. And I think that's like a cheat code in order to like kind of skip all of all of the bullshit.
Well, I feel like you still need like a good emphasis on like mixing too at
Yeah.
the same time. like
Yeah.
able to kind of play it out and maybe a quick master too. Um,
Yeah, that's my forte is mixing. I went to engineering school, uh, like before I even went to and started dabbling in Ableton. I was using like FL Studio to produce house music, but I went to audio engineering school and we were using Pro Tools and analog and all this stuff. But
Where'd you go? What school?
Musicians Institute,
Okay, yeah, yeah. You went to
yeah,
Musicians Institute, then you went to Icon, right?
yeah, and then I
How,
went to Icon.
how soon after did you go to Icon after mine?
It was like right after I graduated from MI, so
What
got
made
my
you
audit.
do that? You did like your parents like you already went to one school. Why do you want to go another one?
Yeah. I think it was because at the time I was DJing and we were DJing at this club called Merge in Orange County, and Sean Blakey was an instructor at Icon, but also, booked us. I had this group called Prisma like way back in the day with my homies, and we would play at this club. So we found out about Icon. That was always like an option, but I felt like there was a transition at MI where I was like, do I want to spend the rest of my life producing and engineering other people's music, or do I really want to like give it a go with my own music and being my own artist? And Icon at the time was brand new, and it, didn't really like. I think like Mac J was the
What
poster
year was this?
child.
Like 2013, 2014, or
Yeah, it was 2013 or 12 that I went to Icon, and I graduated 2013.
okay, yeah, that
Uh,
was like prime Icon.
Prime Icon Collective. I had Jaws in my class.
Yeah,
Uh, right after it was like Slander and Nightmare,
my
and
buddy was in that class. I remember because I was like, we were kind of making music, and I was like really interested in that. And like, I don't know, he's like, I'm going to school. I'm like, what do you mean you're going to Icon? What is that? He's like, oh, it's a music production school. I'm like, what? Why don't you tell me? I was like, pissed. And then,
and
yeah,
you went to Dubspot.
yeah, I ended up going to Dubspot. They're like, oh, Dubspot. That was like 2013 or 14. I'm like,
Yeah,
oh, because it was already a big school in New York. They're moving a second school in Hollywood. Like, oh, they're going to take all the clients from Icon, all the teachers are going to leave, go to DubSpot, and everyone was telling me to go to DubSpot. I'm like, all right, I'm going to DubSpot. I was like the first graduating class. I'm like, yeah, this is going to be it. They're going to give us like a lot of attention for being the first class, and then
yeah,
fucking just like the worst school ever.
yeah.
I was like the last person like in one of the classes, like the teachers weren't getting paid and stuff. I was like, oh my god, yeah, they filed BK. I think that got sued or something.
Yeah. It's like what I felt like benefited the most at Icon was legitimately just being in a class full of other producers that you hang out with 24/7. We all lived together, so
That's what I wanted. I was with the Dust. I'm like, oh, am I in the same class with everyone? I'm like, yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's like the main thing. I wanted like community. I wanted like a group of friends, in the music industry for like, dance music. And then there, out of the four classes I was in, there's only one person. The person was never there. Multiple classes.
yeah. It's
So
yeah, it's hard to build that camaraderie if you're not constantly surrounding yourself with people that are
yeah,
just showing you shit. I learned more from the students at Icon than the curriculum, and the curriculum was really, really good, don't get me wrong, and the mentorships, but it was like the way that your classmate interpreted something was different than the way that you interpreted something. So then you go back home and you're constantly producing, surrounding yourself with these people, learning each other's perspectives. That's when I learned the most. I was like, oh my God, I didn't know like this thing that you're doing on your computer. You just showed me this project and now I can implement it into my own project. So it was like, this class full of like 10 to 12 people, we kept doing that over and over every day and like hanging out every day after class and just showing up to school early. And back then, Icon was open basically 24/7 because the homie Chase, he was the advisor over there. He would keep it open and for all the kids. So we would be there literally at Icon till like 5 in the morning, go to bed, wake up at for class at like 9 in the morning, and then do it all over again. So literally immerse yourself 24/7 in just producing, for 9 months straight. The program was only 9 months, but it was still like,
fine, honestly. You were
yeah,
living there with other students, like outside, like somewhere else.
yeah. So the first semester it was in Glendale. So we all lived in Glendale for like that first, part of it, and then we moved to Burbank, and then it was like all the school moved to Burbank, and it was just a brand new studio. Because back in the first Icon, it was like 4 rooms, and each room bled into each other. So it's like it was crazy. It was not suited for mixing. There was like one master studio with cool gear and stuff, but then when it flipped and moved to Burbank, it was like a game changer for our last semester because now we had all access to like so many different rooms, so many different studios, and like when you actually moved to Burbank is when you started to associate with not just your own class. Now you're seeing all the other classes around in the lounge, and people are literally have their headphones in producing in the lounge. You walk into anybody's studio, everyone's friendly. You would just like make those connections right away, and it was like,
Yeah,
yeah, became more like a larger community of producers helping each other out, and yeah, there's just nothing like that. And even if you don't have the money to go to a music school or anything, starting that own community with all of your friends is the best way to go about it. It's like what local producers are in your area that you can start that community with and constantly surround yourself with people that are producing. That way you never stop learning.
yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to do with Loco Disco. I want to like, when we're doing the shows, I want to like get more of like producer like-minded people here in Orange County together more often somehow. Not really sure. Don't really think about it too hard. I always want to like. There's like one like production studio down in like Santa Ana or Costa Mesa. But then
Are you
there's
talking about
no
Future Studios?
future. Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
think we should do something here.
Yeah.
I think they're going more towards like one-on-one finds instead. There's like a lot of like hip hop people going in there and kind of stuff like their studio.
I'm pretty good friends with the people over at Future, and I think they would be interested in doing something to, one, help promote the studio, but two, it's like, if we can build that community, and that's
Yeah,
what kind of what I feel like Loco is starting to be. It's like, of course, you throw shows, but like you're also very, very much, even in the conversation of who we're choosing for the opening acts, you are very, very prominent about it being a local DJ
yeah,
because you want to push the scene forward. And I think that's what the best promoters do. We're not trying to just flip and make as much money as possible. We're trying to develop and build a scene, which in Orange County, it's really not as prevalent the way that LA is. And I think you need people like you to help grow and build the community with different outlets for shows, communities, this podcast that you're starting, ways to get people involved in this community and help young producers and young DJs grow their careers. And the knack for wanting to help people, I think that's a very unique trait as a promoter to have.
that's what I was. Yeah, I always like for the support artists. I want them to be making tracks. I want them to be really involved and like posting and being a artist. And I feel like there's not that many local DJs here. There's some. There are some, but like what like I'm trying to go for is I want to have just one headliner and one opener. That's all I want. And like what sound does, I think it's a great way. It's a good way to build the energy. Um, but I feel like there's not many DJ producers here strictly in Orange County to that can do that. I feel like. I mean, there are. I feel like how many shows I'm trying to do. I'm trying to do shows every Friday, Saturday night. I just need to find the venue still. I'm working on it right now. Um, but yeah, it's just tough. So I feel like if starting like some type of like production, community here through Loco Disco, getting people together and we can advertise and get more people on. I feel like I want to work with Future. Like, hey, let's have like a night here, like every Tuesday night, get people together. It's like I don't know. I'm not exactly sure, but
Yeah,
there's an idea there, right?
yeah, for sure. And I think starting hosting workshops,
Yeah,
doing these type of videos, like putting out tutorials, things of ways that you can help those producers grow. Just because like even in Orange County, it's crazy. There's so many good producers that have come out of Orange County, but
yeah,
don't they don't rep Orange County, you know. It's
Like,
like,
oh, from LA. I'm like, "You're from San Diego. You're from Costa Mesa. What are you talking about? Like,
yeah,
Orange County. I feel like a lot of people
because
do that. Like my San Bernardino, they're like, oh yeah, my hometown, LA. I'm like, no,
I mean, it's easier to be cool as a brand to be from LA, and I
yeah,
was born and raised in LA, you know, lived there most of my life, and I just love Orange County so much being back here, and I went to high school for 2 years here. So
yeah.
when I think of like my actual home, I think of Orange County, even though I lived in LA for most of my life, and it's, you know, I kind
Where,
of have
where in LA
the,
were you?
I was born and raised in Carson,
Carson.
uh, and I lived there for 8 years, and then I moved to Texas, moved to
Okay.
Costa Mesa, finished it out, and then moved straight back to LA to go to school and, you know, write it out in LA and try to do the cut your teeth in LA, be in the scene. I think it's kind of more of like, is LA benefiting you not just by connection wise, but is it benefiting you like mentally being there? And for me, it kind of exhausted me mentally. And
That traffic, man.
yeah, I want to be able to go to the grocery store and then come back and cook something and still have and not take like 4 or 5 hours and stuck in traffic. And you know, and I love LA to death, but being back in Orange County creatively has opened me to a way to where I feel like relaxed, and feeling relaxed is such a big part of being creative, you know. You don't want to be in a high stress environment.
Suburbs.
Yeah.
So, so I can't. Somewhere someone was like talking. You live in LA. It's
I know
nice
there's
over there.
this undisputed war between Orange County and LA, and like where what L is obviously the cooler place to live,
Yeah,
and Orange County is more the superficial kind
yeah,
of vibe, but that's why we're trying to bring back and revitalize that like underground scene in Orange County. And it doesn't even just have to be underground house, but just like the people really want to be able to go to a show that's, you know, less than 20 miles away and still have a good time and feel like they're a part of the community, you know.
yeah. That's like probably my vision was like everyone from Orange County is either driving to LA or San Diego on the weekends for shows. I don't want to do that. Like do shows here.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to throw shows for a long time. Took
So
me
why don't you talk about like what got you into, you know, what was that first moment for you that you really decided, hey, I want to start throwing shows?
well, yeah, I was always making music, DJing in high school, and then college. We'd always go to this club in Santa Barbara called Eos Lounge. Back then, I was
Yos.
14, 15 or so. And they weren't, I mean, they booked some acts. Bix was talent buyer there at the time. We had like Christian Martin, or he had Christian Martin. There was like, he'd book acts here and there. And then the club owner was like going through some financial trouble, so he had to sell the club. Bix ended up actually taking over the club, and then he would just start booking acts left and right. And so, yeah, I was helping out, just like with anything. Hey, let me know if you ever need extra hands. I was just like desperate to work, so I would do anything from like bar backing, busing, helping bottle service girls, doing the door, and like I would like help them like talent buy too. So I like give them like a list of artists to book, and then he books some of those artists, and the shows were selling out. I was like, and that's kind of like at the same time, that's when I was learning like there's like, oh, there's a middleman to these events. Someone like Vix is like the businessman, and I was going to school for business economics, and I was like, shit, this is it. This is what I want to do. And then out there, Santa Barbara was like living in Ala Vista, going to the club like it's like 3 times a week. We're going there just getting bottle service, so like completely drunk. I was like, I gotta get home, and I'm gonna start throwing my own shows. So yeah, moved back home. This was like 2018. Moved back home, like, all right, I need to save enough money to start throwing my own shows. So I was like bouncing around jobs, and I couldn't get a good job for a while. I was at the improv, great improv, was serving bartending there. then saved up like 10 grand. I was like, I had like a fake resume. I'm like, yeah, I was a talent buyer. Videos Lounge. Not really, but I was like, about to do it at this one venue, and then it was like March 3rd, 2020, and then like the next day, COVID was dream, this crush,
Yeah.
and then I was like, okay, well, I'm just gonna bartending, so I was like bartending around, or actually, no, I got a job at Strut nightclub, bartending the gay nightclub in Costa Mesa, and I walked in for the interview. Wow, this place was like beautiful. There's like the design there. There's a bunch of disco balls and everything. I'm like, oh, I'm not bartending, so I'm gonna throw shows here. And so yeah, that's when I started. It was called Strawberry Disco. We had like a big strawberry disco ball, and then did it for like 6 months there. Didn't really work out after that, so moved out to uh, Santa Ana. Did at this like arcade place, which was really cool. Management there was super fucking mean. Why they're giving me such a hard time. But yeah, when I moved there, I changed it to Loco Disco. I feel like the Strawberry Disco ball is falling apart. It cost me $1,500. I'm like, I'm not buying another one.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I want to change the name anyways, but like the Strawberry Disco ball or the Strawberry Disco brand was like for like the gay nightclub. So
Yeah. So you bought that strawberry disco ball.
it was custom made.
Where
Some
did you get that?
custom made. Some like prop artist makes like props for like it was like they made props for like Disneyland and stuff.
Dang. So how much did you spend on that strawberry disco ball?
1,500. It was falling apart. I was like, dude, I'm not on
So, like most people when they first start throwing shows, that their priority, you know, probably isn't thinking about let's spend $1,500 on the strawberry disco ball, custom made, but like that mentality, you wanted to make your party unique, you
yeah,
know?
yeah. I wanted it. So yeah, started Loco Disco. Started at a different um, bar. Didn't work out. Losing
Where did
money.
the name Loco come from? And like you went from strawberry to Loco.
I mean, I always wanted the name Disco in there. Um, but just it flowed well, honestly. No back meaning, nothing. It has nothing to
So
do
you were
with
just plugging in words in front of the word
this.
disco, and,
Yeah,
and Loco just ended up sticking.
kind of like Loco Dice, but how do you think I thought of that? That's another thing. Whenever like we advertise like Loco Disco, I'm like ad like for like promotion sites, people always comment like, "Oh man, like I was like Loco Dice." Um, but yeah, so yeah, I was always losing money. Like since I changed to Loco Disco, I was like, all right. Well, I was trying to do a weekly. Like, all right, I need to take a step back. Started doing like a monthly, like Sunday fun day party. The idea I thought it worked great. Doing it from like 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. or something like that. And then I was losing money every one of those like Sunday parties. What's going on? What am I doing wrong? And then the manager was like, you should just do like a Friday, Saturday night. Like people like so much competition I felt on Friday, Saturday night. Right. And then I did one and I made like $300. I'm like, okay, that worked out. Let me do it again. And then I got like really like strategic, like thought about every little process, like how can I make this the perfect event? And then I just got like all I gotta say like the best local DJs. And then I made the flyer perfect. I made like the date, everything was like perfect. In my opinion, everything stood out. And then yeah, we sold out that show. I mean, it was a small room, but yeah, we sold like
What
200.
was the who is the first act that you sold out?
It wasn't even an act. It was just like it was
Just
Wet
all
Hand,
locals.
Anderson M, L Monk, and the local DJ Zane, which actually Zane's playing part of this Saturday.
Yeah.
I mean, um, so I had this, yeah, four of those guys, and then yeah, so like 200 tickets were slam packed. Like, oh crap, I made it.
What is it you thought that you did differently that time where you achieved that success?
I mean, every little small detail, like I was saying. So I made the date very prominent. The flyer looked cool. It was different. I focused more on like the art rather than like promoting the names on the flyer. Did a Friday or Saturday night, whatever it was. I was like passing out flyers everywhere. I think I was like really focusing on my email marketing. I think that was it. My marketing back then was not good. My email marketing, I had like 300 like emails or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sold out. Yeah, 200 tickets. I was like $1,000 into the show. I was like, okay, $1,000, not bad. I was like still kind of scared. And then yeah, I profited like I think $3,000. Like, was it? No, I profited $2,000. I was like, oh shit, I made $2,000. Okay, and then 3 weeks later, I'm like, okay, I gotta do this again, but I gotta do it bigger to really like stand out. This is my okay. This book like an actual touring act. I wanted to be someone from like the area, so I booked Shaded, and then yeah, we sold out again. I made $3,000
So that's kind of when you knew you were onto something. You're like, we just sold out 2 shows. Like,
within like 3 weeks. I made $5,000. I was like, oh fuck, okay, 3 weeks, $5,000. I can live off that $5,000 a month. Like, okay, cool. And that's when I went into the weekly every Friday night. We moved into the main room at Social, um, and then working in there. Yeah, we were getting sound complaints at the venue before the little side room before.
yeah, that was like the first show that I pulled up to
Yeah,
was
that's when I met
one
you.
of the ones in the side room, and I was literally just going to meet people. They were like, "Hey, we're going to social." I was like, "Oh, okay, cool. We're gonna go get some drinks." I show up. There's a raging party. It was like packed with people lined up out the door. I was like, house music bumping. You could hear it from like all the way down the street, and I was like, "What the hell is this?" Like, this doesn't happen in Orange County. And then I walk up, and that was like the first time that we met. You were like, yo, man, what's up? I'm Rob. Like, I would really want you to play my party. And I was like, this is fucking sick. Like,
Yeah. So started doing the weekly Friday night in the main room. Immediately, it was just so slammed. I didn't even want. It was so slammed in that small room. I didn't even want to like walk through. The bar was in the back. If I wanted to go to the bar, I would just go around the building. It
yeah.
was way too slammed to walk through. But so yeah, we moved to the main room to get more space, and then was working fine in there. And then that's when I was like, because I had a QSC sound system, and it was just like a bare, system. It's not the best system.
The Halloween party that I played in the main room at Social that year, was that before you got the Voids?
No, I had the voids then
Oh, okay.
because I was towards the end of 2023. But yeah, I bought the voids in June 2023, and
That was a
then
big business investment for you, like, for
yeah,
sure.
it's my biggest asset. um, it was very scary. I was like, holy shit! Like, if I do this, like, I'm all in. I can't now, but I was already all in. Um, so yeah, I bought the voids. That was June 2023. Yeah, I planned to use them like 10 times for the end of the year. I was like, dude, if I use them 10 times, $1,500 every time.
To rent it 10 times is,
Yeah,
yeah.
so I'm like 1,500 times 10 times. I'm like, dude, that's you might as well buy them. I mean, use them for like 40. I mean, all my shows after this. So um,
To become a big part of like the brand and the coolness of the party is
yeah,
like literally have the best sound system in Orange County because you
yeah,
bought these voids.
yeah. The board's definitely a game changer. Um, Big investment. Yeah, it's like kind of part of the reason I bought them. I bought the QSCs. I was so stoked. I'm like, oh, I just bought the QSCs like before, I think right in the end of 2023. I just bought my, I was all stoked. Like, oh yeah, I got this dope sound system. And some other kids like, hey, this is the sound system you bought, right? Send me a link. Like, yeah. He's like, nice. I just bought it too. I'm like, what the fuck? Someone else has the same exact sound system as me. I was pissed. I was like, no, that's not gonna happen. I'm like, all right, watch this.
You're like, I gotta level the fuck up.
Yeah, I'm like, all right, you won't be able to buy this one.
Yeah.
um, yeah, I bought the voids and then used them for like all my parties. I used them at the beach venues that summer. The beach parties were popping off. And I was just like with local acts. I was really trying to push the touring talent at those beach parties. The venue was not letting me because I needed to sell tickets at the door to be able to afford the touring acts. And then I was able to do it next year, this past summer. So you can use this venue. I'm like, okay, sand dance floor. All right, let's do it. But yeah, that was a whole nother year. But yeah, use the voids all throughout the bottom, obviously. And yeah, so
Yeah, throwing voids on a beach is, and then just doing your own parties. You have to have a lot of balls to show up to one of these venues that probably doesn't want to have, like, there's some, for some reason no beach wants to have a crazy electronic music party and, like, hard liquors ban. So there's all this, like, gray area of they don't want people getting too crazy on the beach. But you said, hey, I'm gonna take my voids. We're gonna throw the fattest party ever, and it's like that trial run where you did that, like, 2 years ago when you first did the beach parties to what it evolved into what it was this summer. Man, still people still hit me up to this day, like, saying that that was their favorite show they've ever been to mine, and it was like the craziest time that they had. And it was, that party was ripping for sure.
once I got to do the touring with guys like you, that those parties were insane. First, we had 1,000 people came through. Bar sales were through the roof. Yeah, highest bar sales I ever had. And I was scared because it was a huge investment. It was like all like, so I had like $16,000 in my account, and the party cost me, like, yeah, 17 in my account. And yeah, party cost me 17. I was like, this is the most money I've ever spent. This is all my money. It's not, I don't have investors or sponsors or anything. And I was like, fuck it, let's just throw the best party possible. And yeah, we got like 1,000 people in the first one. And it worked out well. I'm not really sure if I'll say
Oh,
but
for
usually,
sure.
it's extremely risky with these events. You can lose a lot of money very easily. But yeah, I made money that show. I made money in shows. We had your show the next 2 3 weeks after for 4th of July weekend. I got like 700 people in there. Crazy. And then yeah, so yeah, we weren't allowed to do shows at Social. They actually didn't have their entertainment license, so we got shut down there. And then so we had like, yeah, we got shut down at Social. We were like 8 bookings we already paid the deposit for, so I was like scrambling to find new
Yeah.
venues for these acts. And ever since then, the brand, or all of our shows, just sort of fucking popping off, which is great.
Well, it's cool because, also it's like your brand became not just identified with Social anymore. It became like we're our own thing. No matter what parties we throw, no matter where it's at, we have our own community of people that are going to show up.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, having a weekly definitely gets you a lot of power. I feel like, weekly is a lot to do. It's a lot of work. For the most part of that weekly, I was doing for the back end. I was doing all myself with like talent buying, marketing, social media, everything. Um, so then, yeah, right when 2024 started, that's when I brought on a talent buyer, marketing friend, Dillon Nathaniel, NDA for like 10 years, worked for Insomniac, helped kickstart Day Trip, but then left Insomniac when COVID hit. He has kids to take care of, so he got like a normal job. I'm not saying it's not a normal job. But yeah, I brought him on. Uh, yeah, pretty much me, him, and I got other people helping out with all those stuff, setting up the events.
I mean, I think that the journey of being, a promoter, a talent buyer, like being all these things of what Loco Disco is a very similar path to being an artist and being a DJ as well. Because, like, no pun intended, you have to be crazy as fuck and take all of these insane amounts of risks
Yeah,
and
yeah,
fail so many times
yeah,
before you achieve any success. But it's that constant passion, love, and drive for the scene that you have that really puts you ahead in that consistency, because you never gave up. You had all these times where you lost money at shows, uh, but you were crazy enough to keep leveling up. You're like, I'm going to spend even more money on a sound system and just providing a better experience for people. And I think, you literally are loco as fuck because you never gave up. And like, that could
yeah,
be a part of the culture of what Loco Disco is too. It's you're we're all a little bit crazy in this industry, and you got to be crazy in this industry if you want to make it.
yeah. No, definitely. Yeah, so I feel like with my whole, um, I'm always trying to, be a producer, DJ. That's like the reason why I started throwing events, to help your personal brand as well too, which it has a lot too. I got to play some pretty cool shows. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, I really need to focus on putting out music. I mean, I have a good amount of tracks right now. I'm just like trying to
yeah,
figure out the game plan. 'Cause I was like talking to another manager. He's like, hey, I have this track. I want to know your thoughts from like a manager's point of view. He's like, honestly, if it's not on the top five labels, it doesn't matter. I'm like, okay. I'm like, what do I do then? Well, I'm like, I don't know. It's like looking at like Chase West. Let me kind of get off topic here, but Chase
yeah,
West, um, all of his like last 10 or his first 10, last 10 releases are all self-release, or it's actually on his own record label. He doesn't really advertise it that much as its own record label, and he's popping off. Kind of
yeah,
crazy. I think I'm always trying to like understand how did he get to that point. Is it through his connections from all like the mentoring he got from all these artists? But you
yeah.
mentored him too, right?
No, I didn't. West End did.
Oh, okay, you didn't. Okay, okay.
Yeah, but at the same time too, I think like we're kind of in that era of independent artists being more like able to create and generate their own success rather than having to rely on a label. Pre-COVID, maybe whoever you're talking to, that was very true for that time. You had to be signed to one of the top five labels in that genre to really break out. But now it's really, can you translate well to the fans directly and skip that middleman? Because if you develop your own fan base and you have people that will listen to your music, go to your shows, buy your merch, they're tapped into your brand. Now you no longer need that third party to be that gateway. And of course, releasing on big labels, collaborating with big artists, that's like a gateway into their fans, and that is very beneficial. But however, to get started, it's really just about the act of putting your foot forward, saying, I believe in this sound so much. I'm going to either start my own label or self release or do edits or whatever you can do to gain those fans. And the more consistent you are with it, I feel like the more that people are receptive to that. Like, hey, this guy has a really unique sound. He's super underground. People want to ride that wave with you up, because that's kind of how I started too. I wasn't really like releasing on the biggest labels ever. When I first was releasing, it was like this small label called Audiophile. And I think Shiba San was the first person to actually play my music in a giant setting at Exchange LA. And like, it was a song with Dateless, and me and him went to the show, and we were just mind blown. That was like, we went to the Palladium to see him. He was playing our songs. It was like, that's when we knew we had something cool. So it was just like the consistency of releasing on a small label. Then all of a sudden, I sent demos to Nightbase, or my manager did, and then all of a sudden the bigger label started picking stuff up. So it's like, you just got to start somewhere, no matter how small the label is, no matter what you're doing. If you're consistently releasing tracks, that's really going to take you to a level to where people are like, okay, you know, even if it is a small label, you're gonna get it in a promo, or big DJs are still gonna find their way because the real crate diggers are gonna find that shit.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I was listening to what was it, Odd Future Wolfgang guy, Tyler Creator. He's like,
Yeah,
put your stuff out there. It doesn't matter. He's like, I found his name. Like he had 6 views on YouTube. I found him, and it was so sick. I told him to come out and work. Damn, that's pretty crazy. He found some off YouTube with 6 views.
Yeah, and that's insane because it's, some of the most talented people in the world are trying to find new talent and help build that legacy and put them on, and it's super cool to be one of those artists. And that's kind of what I'm striving to do with my own label is I really want it to be, I want to sign artists for their own sound. I'm not really trying to replicate the trends. I don't want to be a one subgenre label. I want to find artists that have their own unique sound and help put them on, and to be able to do that. So many labels are really just copying trends and following trends and getting Beatport top hits. But it's, if you find artists that really are passionate about creating their own sound, they're passionate about producing, I think creating a platform for them, and working with you guys to do like these, workshops and label parties and things like that. That's literally where my mind is heading, because I want to be able to develop, what that Orange County house music scene is all about.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Well, we're coming up on an hour right now.
It's
Um,
perfect.
it was
Maybe let's close it out with talking about the show a little bit or something coming up.
Yeah, I got some people want to ask some questions too. Um, we do either or. Let's see here. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, DOA ask, what is your favorite venue?
Just in general, like in the
General.
world, in the country, in the area.
Yes, favorite venue you played.
I mean, it's very easy to just say like a rave or something, or like Brooklyn Mirage, but I think when I'm thinking of like in terms of like raw energy, definitely the beach party that you threw was like one of my favorite shows I've ever played. 100%.
That was
Um,
good.
there's little spots like even in Nashville, the Night We Met crew, like just the energy is unreal to go to a place where electronic music isn't as prominent like it is here in Orange County or LA, but like to have the energy of people, even if it's 150 people in a small room, there's just something about that,
It's the
those
energy,
types of shows. It's like
the energy.
it's really all about the people and the people's reaction to the music, and you introducing things that are cool in LA or cool here or in New York, and you bring it to a city that's never heard it before, and like that's so cool.
Another one. How did you get your foot in the door with promoters and venues?
I kind of stopped thinking of myself as a local DJ. So when I started, I tried to play every show that I could. And then once I kind of stopped doing that and realized, you're getting screwed over by all these promoters making no money whatsoever, focusing on my production and my sound and not playing any shows. And I really just kind of gunned for that. I'm going to put out good music. Um, I'm going to try to get it signed to good labels. And then my first in was really with Nightbase booking me at Sound. And that's kind of like how I cut my teeth. And once you kind of have that first big break, it's like a domino effect. Then all of a sudden, I got signed to Confession and opened for Mala and Chami. So it was like, if you just really focus on the music that you're making, it's a little bit harder to break out as a local DJ. So it's like, how do you want to brand yourself? How do you want to um, represent your sound and getting your music in the right DJ's hands?
Yeah, my computer's about to die. Let me just plug this in real quick. Yeah, okay. I do. So you have that one story. I think was it with Merge? There we go.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it was Merge, but so you guys like just showed up with like a fracture controller or something.
Yeah.
That
So
one?
I was 17 years old and in this old group with my two homies called Prisma, and I couldn't get into the club yet. It was an 18 plus club, and it was like my birthday was a couple weeks after that. But what we did, my buddy TJ had this crazy idea of like, let's just show up with this Tractor S4 controller and say that we're DJing to get in. and it worked. And it was funny. We were all dressed up in like button downs and like just totally didn't look like DJs at all, but we still showed up and had the audacity and the confidence to be like, hey, we have a set time, like we're playing, like we need to get into the club. And the bouncer just didn't question it at all. So
You
we
guys didn't have a set time.
did not have a set time. We walk up, put the S4 controller down on the table, and by just the stroke of luck, the DJ that was playing after the one that was already playing did not show up. So that's when Sean Blakey walked over and said, "Hey, like, who are you guys?" We were like, "We're here to play, like we're ready." And then he said, "Actually, the DJ is not showing up, so go ahead and set your stuff up." And that was the first set that I ever played, 17 years old at this club. Which I had no idea would impact my life in that way, you know.
Question. Opinions on planning sets or doing it on the fly?
I think for me it's always been about that freestyle aspect of I will plan a set to a point to where, of course, I'm searching for records, digging deep for songs that people aren't playing, but then like having a blend of songs that are popular and kind of putting my own spin on it with edit wise. So there's a lot of preparation that goes into that. But however, when you're thinking about what to play, I think I've never been the person to like lay out this is the first track, second track, third track. These all work in key with each other. I've kind of just naturally gravitate towards what do I feel like playing in the moment and
Yeah.
having a playlist of like 40 songs for an hour
Yeah.
that I can bounce around because you're only going to get off like 20 songs maybe if you're mixing fast. So it's like picking and choosing and freestyling. But yeah, there is a lot of preparation that goes into making those edits and like finding the right songs and stuff.
You gotta make some key. Play whatever I want to play next. I don't want to be like that. I want to play these like two songs next. No, screw all.
Yeah, mixing in key works if you're doing like melodic, very melodic stuff. It kind of needs to be in key, but when it's drums in the intro and the outro, there's ways to finesse it where you can jump. It doesn't have to be within the wheel of fifths. You can totally jump around out of key and it still sounds really good.
Question. How did you get into that?
Um, so I've always played the guitar and like sung songs because my older brother got me into playing guitar. But it was when my family took me to EDC when I was 16 years old, is when I was like, oh my God, like I want to make this stuff. This is the craziest stuff ever. So then I downloaded FL Studio and just started going to town on FL Studio. And my dad bought me like a little mixer and a synthesizer, and I had no idea what I was doing, but it was just like the experimentation of going to EDC as a young rave kid and then just being like, I want to start doing this out of for fun, and then ended up getting pretty good and DJing with all my buddies and passing out CDs in high school. So it was like, you know, uh, getting into production was just it felt like very like a natural part of my life because I was just so music involved already, and then these sounds that I heard for the first time just completely changed my life. You know.
Yeah. So you said you're 16 now. Was that the Coliseum, right?
Yeah, I was at the USC Coliseum,
Was that
and
2009 or 2010?
2010 was the year that I went, and it was the last year because there's like a lot of underage kids that ended up dying. So then they kicked Insomniac out of LA, and I wasn't allowed to go to EDC, and I was till I was 21 again. So it was like, um, yeah, but it was the whole process of going as a 16-year-old kid. I felt like gave me a little bit of an advantage because I was tapped into all this cool rave music at such an early age, and all my friends in high school and I were like the nerdy rave kids that were like the rejects. That's when like raving wasn't cool. Like, oh, you liked all this like rave music, that's not cool. And we're the kids in the party like playing with light gloves in the garage and stuff. Like,
Freshman year, 2007, 2008, some friends were like going to EDC, and I was like, wow, well, it's a rave. But that's so dumb. Like, why would you ever want to go to that? That's the stupidest thing ever. 2008, 2010. Like, wait, what's this track? Oh, this is Pro Nails by Rusco.
Pro nails.
I'm like, this is insane. What's this like? Oh, this is up the raves. I'm like, oh, what? This is what it's about. I'm like, okay. And I'm like, oh, I want to go to one. And like, oh no, you have to be 18 years older now. So I had to wait till after high school to go. And the first one was audio autistic, and that's when I saw Wolfgang Gardner had one. Now you made a track with them.
Yeah, I mean, that's a full circle moment too, because I saw Wolfgang at EDC in 2010, and I literally left my family because I went with my family, and I like ran to the front row, and I was like, got lost, and like my dad was like so worried about where I was, and then at the end of the set, I ended up popping back out and finding him, and he was like, "Where the hell did you go?" And I was like, "I was front row, Dad, having a good time."
Oh, awesome. Well, yeah, I think that's a good note to leave it off on. Uh,
Yeah, but the show coming up, this Saturday, I'm really excited because it's a more intimate setting, and I think, like I was just explaining, it's really about the vibe of the people, and that's how I always felt every time that I play at Loco Disco. The people are so stoked on the music, and it's the energy. So it's going to be a nice intimate show. I think it's like a 300-person capacity, but we're going to pack it in there, and it's going to be one of the best times ever. And I'm always excited to play for you, bro.
yeah, no, I'm excited to come out. Yeah, that's what we've always focused on is music forward events, not really party focused, I guess you say. I mean, it's still a party, but yeah, definitely more focused on bringing good time. It's really important. It took a while, but yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be a fucking awesome show. I'm playing right before you. The local guys here killing it in the scene. So yeah, I'm stoked. Anything else?
That's it, man. Fucking that was a good first podcast for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, that's good. Good talks. Cool. Well, yeah. I'll talk to you soon. I got some stuff I'm gonna do. But yeah, we're going to that event tonight.
Yeah. Yeah, let me know how you want to edit this, and like how you want to like do the whole I think there's a lot of good clips that we could take from this session. If you want to even send me shit, I can color grade it and CapCut and like cut stuff up, and we'll probably have like at least 15-second clips to post like a little while. It doesn't even have to just be about promoting the show. It could be about promoting your podcast, or I mean, we're offering a lot of value within this conversation to people, so I think it's going to be like good content for both of us to post.
Here, I'm gonna stop it right now.